Hey everyone. First of all, I do apologize if you hear any boom sounds. I'm recording this on my phone, so I do apologize for that. Those are going to be like notifications and stuff. But I wanted to come on here and talk about this whole Britt Baker, Tony Khan AEW situation, because everyone so far that I've heard has given their 2 cents about it. And I wanted to give my opinions on it as well, because this is just another example, in my opinion. It's just another example of Tony Khan not being a true boss, being a true leader. Because there are some people that have talked about this that have said Britt should be blamed mostly. Some are saying Tony needs to be blamed mostly. Others, like me, say all people are at fault. And Tony Khan, is one of those people at fault because, again, he's not being a leader. He's not being someone that should have took Britt aside or had somebody go talk to Britt, take her aside and say, look, we know you are the women's champion now. When she won the women's championship, should have took her aside and said, you're the women's champion now. You need to lead by example, not just on screen, but behind the scenes as well. But did he do that? As far as we know, he didn't. Nobody's come out and said that he has. So I would assume he didn't. And just imagine how much better things might be if he would have himself or sent somebody that he could trust to get through to Britt to remind her of who she's supposed to be. He didn't do that. And Britt, she's not innocent in all this either. Because, let's be honest. When she was brought in, right off the bat, she was looked at as the face, the heart, the soul, the voice for those that couldn't speak up for themselves, the focal point, the center point. She was basically the franchise of that women's division. And not only was she the franchise, but I want you to think about this too. There was never any issues reported with her in those first 2 years of AEW's existence because she was trying to be on her best behavior as said leader, as said franchise player. And by doing so, she was rewarded finally with the women's championship. And outside any other woman at that time, I think so far she has had one of the longest reigns, period. I could be wrong, correct me in the comments if you like. But she had one of the more decent, lengthy runs with that title. And the reason for that is because she earned that by being everything that was described about her. Unfortunately, like I said, I think that's when things started to go downhill. Things started to go downhill a little after she won that women's championship, in my opinion. And that's when you started to hear rumors and reports that, she was, causing trouble. She was saying this, she was saying that. And instead of doing something about it, Tony did nothing. Instead of sending somebody like an Omega or a Lynn or a Daniels to go take care of it, he did nothing. Even when Adam Cole got signed to the company, he did nothing to send him over to talk with her. Nothing. Period. Nada. Zippo. Zilch. And thus, like Britt, needs to take part of the blame for her actions behind the scenes, Tony Khan needs to take part of the blame for his actions for not being a real boss and ensuring that this kind of stuff wouldn't happen. And now what's interesting is you have reports coming out that he's fed up with her attitude. How is he fed up with her? He hasn't had her on television for at least several months. How is Tony Khan fed up with somebody that's not on television, if not there in person, period? That don't make sense. Does it make sense to you? It don't make sense to me. I mean, look. Britt is one of those people, like let's say a Tessa Blanchard, that doesn't know when to keep their mouth shut and keep their thoughts to themselves. She's very opinionated. Tessa more so than I think we can imagine, and hopefully she'll learn from that, second one with TNA. But the point I'm getting at is both are very opinionated, and when they want to let you know something, they're going to let you know something. If they want to vocally express how they feel, they're going to do so. And Britt is in that category. She's in that category of being someone that will vocally let you know how she feels. and she will not hold anything back. And what's crazy is you can almost tell when she came back and she was plugged into this program with Mercedes Moné that she wasn't looking forward to it, because she knew what the end result was going to be. Despite, the suspension that basically removed her for about a week or two before the match, she knew what was going to happen. So you can't blame her for not being so enthusiastic of being there, because she knew all she was being brought back for was to put over Moné, and that was it. But some say that maybe she could have helped salvage this feud a little bit. She could have helped salvage it a bit had she not opened her mouth behind the scenes. Because you see, prior to All In London last year, she decided to open her mouth and complain that MJF and Will Ospreay went for almost an hour, of runtime during Dynamite. Now, look, again, she has a right to be opinionated in her own manner. But what she should have done is keep her thoughts to herself and gone and talked with somebody that she knows can get word to Tony, if not talk to Tony personally, and say, look, what just happened out there with MJF and Will? That was ridiculous. They just took up a majority of everybody else's opportunity and time on this program. That's what she should have done. She should have went to Tony, told him how she felt, or went to somebody to tell Tony how she felt, express the frustration, instead of taking it out on Alicia Atout, who is at the time, MJF's girlfriend. So it's like basically it's like Tessa, she couldn't help herself. She couldn't tell herself, okay, Britt, hold your feelings in. Don't say anything. Don't get mad. Don't stop broiling over. She couldn't do that, and instead she let it out. And because of that, she ended up suspended for about 2 weeks, and that affected the momentum she and Mercedes could have created for All In. And again, you could tell she didn't want to be in this match with Mercedes, because of the fact that she knew she was going to have to put her over. And that's why the match, in my opinion, didn't come off well. It didn't. And that's why she was never put back in the ring with Mercedes. And that's why they were trying to probably insert her into a feud with Serena Deeb. And why? Well, Serena Deeb is a submission specialist, right? So if you put someone like Britt in the ring with someone that's a submission specialist, then obviously you're doing it for a reason, and that reason is to teach said individual a lesson in respect, to remind them that, hey, you might be, one of the most over stars we have, but you're not the center of the universe. And obviously, Britt saw this. She saw what was going to happen. She said what she did when Serena was holding up her flag for her wrestling school, and she said what she did. And that was it. Because obviously she saw the writing on the wall about what was about to happen. And look, again, I get that Britt is very vocally opinionated in her own right. And she's very expressive in how she wants people to know how she feels. But again, if I'm Britt Baker, I tell myself, keep it to yourself, swallow your pride, and just do what you got to, and just do what they're asking you to do. And if it means getting stretched, to God knows where by someone like Serena Deeb in the front of the world, that, to teach you a valuable lesson of respect and knowing your place, then so be it. But she didn't do that. She didn't allow that to happen because what she said on screen. And like we said, we haven't seen her since. But obviously, AEW and Tony Khan knows we're talking about her. They know we're talking about her because today they decided on their Twitter feed to advertise the fact that Britt Baker was part of one of the more significant matches in the first year or so of AEW, and that we can relive that on Max. So So obviously they know we're talking about her. They obviously know we want to see her. But the question is, will we see her? Will we see her tomorrow night? We don't know. But again, Britt needs to realize that just because she was at one time looked at as the focal point, the center point, the face, the heart, the soul, the voice for those that wouldn't speak up, the locker room leader, the franchise player of the women's division when AEW started, she also has to realize that times change. New faces are going to come in. Things are going to evolve. And she needs to grow with it. And that's another thing that I think caused some issues. The fact that she would not grow with the division. She would not grow with the acceptance of the new talent coming in to help make that division one of the better women's divisions in wrestling today, whether people want to agree with that or not. She would not do that, which is why you would start hearing reports of, issues, involving her and any other talent. And look, I know there are people, in fact, I'm related to some people that are set in their ways. But I'll be honest, I say it with all due respect, that's not supposed to be known until at least you get into your 60s, late 50s, 60s, 70s. That's about it. But there are folks, even those in my family, that when they get to a certain time in their lives, will let you know that they are set in their ways. And when it comes to people that perform in the ring, whether it's wrestling, boxing, in a cage for MMA, or in a ring for MMA, sports period, when you basically are someone that competes in those kind of environments, you have a certain, I guess you could say you have a certain outlook get established for yourself. You have your own personal outlook. An outlook that you feel that you believe that no matter what happens in the future, you're not going to change or have people try to make you change, period. And to me, that's how Britt Baker, in my opinion, is exactly like. She's that kind of a person. She will not allow people to make her change her stance on how she views things. She is someone that is set in her ways as a professional wrestler, that she will not have people dictate to her how to do things and all that, or how to change and evolve with the time. She's that kind of a person, in my opinion. And so that, to me, is what's really caused issues as well. She wouldn't grow. She wouldn't accept change, especially along with all these new faces coming into All Elite Wrestling, especially for the women's division. But getting back to Tony himself is at fault. Tony himself is at fault because, again, he didn't take the opportunity to go and talk to Britt, or take the opportunity to send somebody to go talk to Britt. I mean, for a time, he had William Regal under his employment, right? When these issues started to surface, and I'm sure they started to surface when William was there, why didn't he send William to go talk to her? I guarantee you, if he would have done that, maybe we wouldn't be where we are right now. Why didn't he recently signed Jeff Jarrett, and Karen Jarrett. Why didn't he send one of them, if not both, to go talk to her? Because I guarantee you, if he would have done, we wouldn't be where we are now. Why didn't he send Daniels? Why didn't he send Omega before Omega had to go take care of his health situations? Why didn't he do that? Because if he would have done it, I guarantee maybe we wouldn't be where we are right now, but he didn't. Because this is just another example of Tony Khan not really being a true leader, not stepping up and nipping this in the bud before it really got out of control in some kind of fashion. So he too is at fault. Now look, there's no doubt that Britt dealt with some, not just physical injuries, but some mental situations as well, all right? Some mental and other kind of personal situations when she was gone. That, let's be honest, that has nothing to do with the way she acted behind the scenes. That had nothing to do. Those are things that just came up when she was out. Well, injury that occurred in the ring, but the other stuff out while she was healing up, all that came about when she was out. So that had nothing to do with her attitude behind the scenes when she got back to All Elite Wrestling. But again, she can't take a majority of the blame because the person that also shares the blame is the person that could have nipped all this in the bud. And that's Tony Khan. But like I said, he didn't. He didn't take the opportunity to send Kenny Omega, to send Christopher Daniels, Jeff and Karen Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, William Regal when he had Regal under his employment. He didn't bother to do any of that. Tony Schiavone, who is one of Britt's close friends on screen, if not behind the scenes. He did not take the opportunity to have any of them go and talk to Britt and remind her that, yeah, you are the face of the division, you are a locker room leader, but you also need to act like it. You need to not, be so opinionated. And if you have, if you have your own opinions, you need to keep them to yourself because there are those that might squeal you out. And obviously, Britt's learning the hard way, because of just that. The thing is, no one is innocent here. No one is innocent here, period. Everybody is to blame. End of discussion on that. Now, whether or not Britt comes back, that's up to Tony Khan. If obviously they're showing highlights from the first couple of years of AEW that you can find on Max, and one of them that they uploaded today was a Britt Baker, then obviously that obviously shows that they do know people are talking about her, and obviously it also indicates to them that people want to see her. If I'm Tony Khan and I want to make this all go away, I call Britt Baker up. I say to her, Britt, I want you to come to Dynamite. I'm going to give you a live mic, and I'm going to let you shoot. I'm going to let you shoot on how you feel about the state of the women's division, the state of AEW. Heck, I'll even let you shoot on me. Basically, if I'm him, and I want to make good with her, I allow her to do that. Let her go out there and shoot. Go unfiltered. Express how she really feels. Let her legitimately on TNT, on TBS, on Max. Let her legitimately get everything out. So that way, in real time, every fan of this business can understand where she's coming from and why she acts the way she does. That way, in real time, you can even put a camera in the women's locker room. In real time, you can see the women's reaction, legitimate reactions to what she's saying and how she feels about the state it's in and certain individuals there. And if you want to, you could play that into any kind of dynamic storyline or feud you want to. Because now you have something behind it that people will now, want to tune in to see what happens next. But if I'm him, even if it's a one-off, I have her come out. I call her up. I tell her to come to Dynamite. Tell her I'm going to give her a live mic, and I'm going to tell her go out there and pipe bomb the heck out of this company if you want to. Pipe bomb the heck out of the women's division. Tell us how you really feel. No filter, no nothing. Go ahead and shoot. And I guarantee, potentially, maybe, that could help solve and ease some issues between all parties if he allows her to do that. But that's up to Tony Khan. Will he do it? Some will probably say I highly doubt it. But if I'm him and I want to make good with Britt and show her, hey, I may not be happy with your attitude, but hey, I'm going to let you express how you feel. I'm going to let you come out and pipe bomb, shoot. Then I let her do it. And if you want to try to build some kind of angle out of it, have the camera on the women's locker room and focusing on certain individuals there that she might talk about, she might call out, so that maybe you can have an idea of where to go to next with Britt if you want to keep her under contract for who knows how much longer. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole Britt Baker, AEW, Tony Khan situation. Who do you think is at fault? Do you think all parties are at fault? Do you think Britt's at fault? Do you think Tony Khan's at fault? What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere if you want to. And until next time, guys, I am out.